Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallava Girivaradari Gopi Janavallava Girivaradari Yashodanandan Rajajanaranjana Yashodanandan Rajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Astotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 20, the structure of the universe. Text 38. We'll just go word by word as it is prosa. It's a little bit difficult to chant. So, Etaval, Loka Vinyaso, Manalakshana Samstabhir Vichintitaha Kavibihi Saha Tu Panchasat Kotiganitasya Bhugolasya Turiya Bhago Ayam Lokachala. Okay, word by word. Etavan. This much. Lokavinyasaha. The placing of the different planets. Mana. With measurements. Lakshana. Symptoms. Samstabhihi, as well as with their different situations. Vichintitaha, established by scientific calculations. Kavibihi, by learned scholars. Saha, that. to but Panchasat Koti 500 million yojanas Kanitasya which is measured at Bhugolasya of the planetary system known as Burloka. Bhugolaka. Never heard that. Bhugolaka. Okay. Turiyabhagaha. 1/4. Ayam. This. Lokaloka. Achala. The mountain known as Lokaloka. So we've been hearing about Lokaloka mountain, right? This mountain that goes in a circle between the land of gold and then the land which is beyond that mountain, further away from the center of the universe. And easy reminder for us, Loka and then Aloka, right? The name Lokaloka is made of two words. One is Loka, which means planet, and the other one is Aloka, which means no planets. So it's the mountain between the area where there is planets and then where there is no planets. Loka, Aloka mountain. So on one side of that mountain is all the planets, and then on the other side there's no more planets. It says it's just a dark area. Okay, let's read the translation. Learned scholars who are free from mistakes, illusions, and propensities to cheat have thus described the planetary systems and their particular symptoms, measurements, and locations. With great deliberation, they have established the truth that the distance between Sumeru and the mountain known as Lokaloka is 1/4 of the diameter of the universe, or, in other words, 125 million yojanas, 1 billion miles. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given accurate astronomical information about the location of Lokaloka mountain. The movements of the sun globe and the distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe. However, the technical terms used in the astronomical calculations given by the Jyotirveda are difficult to translate into English. Therefore, to satisfy the reader, we may include the exact Sanskrit statement given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which records exact calculations regarding universal affairs. Shri Sigaur Nitai ki, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki. So now, for the satisfaction of the listener, we're going to read those calculations, which is a long list of Sanskrit words. I'm just going to read it, even though we're not going to understand anything of it. But for technical reasons, Satu lokalokastu bu golakasya bu sambandhanda golakasyeti artha suryasya eva bhuvo pi anda golakayor madhya vartitvat kagolam iva bhugolam api panchashat koti yojan pramanam tasya turiya vangasardha Dvadash koti yojan vishta rukchraya iti artha pustu chatustrim shalakshanu panchasat koti pramana gneya. Yata meru madhyan manasuttara madhya paryantam sardya sapta panchashal lakshuttara koti yojan pramanam manasuttar madhyat swadudaka samudra paryantam sam navati laksha yojana pramanam tata kanchati bhumi sardha shapta panchashal lakshuttara koti yojan pramana evam ekato merulukha alokayor antaralam ekadash shal lakshadika chatush koti parimitam anyatopi tatayeto loka paryantam sthanam dvavimshati lakshuttarashta koti parimitam lokat bahir api ekataha etavat eva anyatopi etavat eva yat vakshyate yontar vishtara etana hialoka parimanam cha vakyatam yat bahir lokaloka chalat iti ekato lokaloka sadritatvadarasha koti yojana parimana anyatopi satateti evam chatushtrimshal lakshanupanchashat koti pramana bhu shabdi dvipa parvata yeya ata evanda gulakat sarvatadikshu shabdadasha lakshana yojanavam kashe vartamane stati pritivya shesha nagena dharanam dikgajais cha nishalikharanam sartakam bhavet anyata tu vyakyantare panchashat koti pramanatvat andagulaka laknatve tat sarvam akinchit karam syat chakshushe manvantera chakasmat majanam srivaraha devenuttapanam chadurgatam syat iti adikam vivechaniyam. Okay. Everything clear? Okay. Itaval lokavinaso manalakshana samstabhir vichintita kavipi satu panchashat koti ganitasya bhugolasya turiya bhago yam loka chala. Learned scholars who are free from mistakes, illusion, and propensities to cheat have thus described the planetary systems and their particular symptoms, measurements, and locations. With great deliberation, they have established the truth that the distance between Sumeru and the mountain known as Lokaloka is 1/4 of the diameter of the universe, or, in other words, 125 million yojanas, 1 billion miles. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, interesting enough, the distances here given about our universe. So, from the center of the universe, where Mount Sumeru is, a mountain made of gold, like a pivot, but up top, upside down, is in the middle of the universe. And then Aloka mountain, the mountain that is the border of the area where the planets turn around Mount Sumeru, and then the area that's no more planets on the other side of Lokaloka mountain is, according to this verse, 1 billion miles. So we ask ourselves, why is this information here? Why does Shukadev Goswami bother to give all this information? Maharaj Parikshit has asked previously about the universe, and of course Shukadev Goswami is giving the answer, but what is the meaning of, knowing more about this universe? Aren't we interested just in Krishna and our relationship with him and the emotional interchange that we have with him in the heart and so on? Our heart is like a transporting machine. It is the sitting place where we can actually accumulate the merits for our next travel. It is like it's like where we deposit. It's like a bank account where we deposit the merits, or we accumulate the amount of merits that take us into the next life. So this life is, according to Bhagavad Gita, we take birth in our next life according to the state of consciousness we have developed in this life. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam thyayati antikalevaram mamam evaiti kaunteya sadat tat bhava bhavitaha. I remember doing books in the buses in Chile. We used to go into the buses and offer the books, Dear ladies and gentlemen, the students of yoga, we are having a campaign today presenting these books for your consideration. First book is Coming Back, the Science of Reincarnation. Right? Like that. We would present Perfection of Yoga. The second book is the Teachings of Yoga. And the third book is The Higher Taste. So we would, then you have to make your, what we call the pitch, right? You have to say something that makes people interested. So to keep myself inspired, I would normally say something that actually would be in accordance with the parampara and accordance also with one's satisfaction. I wouldn't just say, well, you have these recipes, vegetarian recipes. I would also say, like, this is the food that actually transforms our eating into something spiritual. Or the Perfection of Yoga, I would say, this is not just the yoga of bodily exercise where you feel good and attain good health. It actually means where we go higher and understand our deeper self, something like that. Something that people can kind of relate it, and it's also not spoken the untruth, right? Like you say, it is about yoga, but then people buy the book Perfection of Yoga, and they think, well, what yoga is that about? Because they get confused. Of course, we have the real yoga in our hands, but so you say something that they can relate to. Yes, okay, this is not just the yoga of physical exercise. This is the yoga that brings us to a higher level of consciousness. And you can say so many things. Let us focus on what we really need in life, and make us feel deeply connected with the Supreme. Whatever, you can say so many things, right? In a short, like we call it, sutra, right? Like the Vedanta Sutra is made of very short aphorisms of Vedic truth. So also in those buses, you had to give some information, very tight information in a few words. So it was very interesting. But the most interesting thing is that you would do buses after buses after buses after buses. You know, you would do at least 20, 30 buses a day, or more even. And you would, if you just say, this is about, reincarnation, this is about yoga, this is about vegetarianism, then it would get tasteless, it would get boring. The law of satiation came in, right, and pushes your mind down. Your mind can't go any further. It gets satiated. This is the law of material nature. But if you say something out of Bhagavad Gita, like, the yoga ladder, it brings you to the perfection of actually yoga, which means a deeper connection with the Supreme, or, to be able to focus and feel happy within the most adverse circumstances in this world. Wasn't really that difficult for people in the bus in Santiago de Chile, where the smog level is like 450. I mean, normally people go home by 120. I can't remember what's the unity they use for the smog level, right? So, because it's in a mountain range and the air doesn't really move out, the smog level goes really high, and it's like grey, cold, and honestly, hell. So it wasn't really difficult for people to connect that, wow, this can take me to, a deeper satisfaction in life. So, you speak something from Bhagavad Gita. Like I said, that as soon as you actually connect, your words are connected with a truth that is given by Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, then actually it has effect. It has some effect on people. That is preaching, right? I remember in my own life, I was a small boy. What was I, 10 or 12? Not small boy, but a boy, 10 or 12 years old. And Sundays, typically we were watching movies, and there was this movie about, extraterrestrial beings, and I got I'm a little bit of a sensitive person. I got really affected by that and fearful, and what's going to happen with this planet and all this, atomic threat and atomic bombs and aliens coming in, and so I went to my mother. I said, I told her, I was feeling fear. I was fearful. I was anxious, that this world is just I don't know. I was confused. It's like so much fighting going on and struggle, right? And like that. And she said, life is always a struggle. Life is always a fight. And that's what's just her personal experience, I guess. But it coincides with what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that amongst all the senses, they all struggle with material existence, especially the mind, which is the sixth sense. Life is a struggle. It's a constant struggle. This is a miserable place, and to keep up, just relieving from self from all the miseries in this world, it's a struggle. That's what Bhagavad Gita says. It includes the mind. The living entity is struggling to keep up the fight with material nature, and struggles like that. And that always stuck with me, that life is a struggle. And I very convinced, because somehow or other she hit a truth that is exposed in Bhagavad Gita. And it has an effect on people, even though she's just, you could say, coincidentally repeating what Bhagavad Gita says. But because you can also see another example, songs like the song I can get no satisfaction, right, by the Rolling Stones. You know, you have all these love songs and this, you know, so much stuff about you and me, and let's do this and let's do that, and hopefully this and hopefully that. All these love songs. And they just disappear in time. But years after years, I hear that song again. My sweet Lord, I can get no satisfaction. All these songs that, you know, the devotees, or at least people influenced by the devotees, have made, or that actually expose the real nature of this world, not just the, you know, temporary. My senses are pleased and your senses are pleased, and let's come together and have a family. So, not like that, but actually exposing the misery, the terrible condition that we are living in this material world. And the Coming Back, that was the first book out of the three that I would present, and I would cite this verse from Bhagavad Gita, that the state of consciousness that we have at the end, I said, dear ladies and gentlemen, this is the book Coming Back, about reincarnation. Now, to say the word reincarnation in a bus going at 80 kilometers an hour, to, you know, people who are from a Catholic background is a little bit of a shocker. Like it's an intense word. I had people stand up in the bus and starting to tell people that reincarnation was not a fact. It happened, yes. People in Chile, they don't like it. There's a lot of Catholic or Christian background. So it's a little bit of a strong word, but nevertheless, I was waking people up, trying to wake people up. This is about reincarnation, and it's said that the state of mind that we have at one life is the state of mind we're going to attain in our next life without fail. Excuse me. So that without fail is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, without fail in this lifetime. And people would really like, whoa, look at me like with big eyes, you know, just by citing that. And I could cite it one bus after another, after another, after another. I wouldn't get tired. I would be inspired by the faces of the people looking at me when I would say that. The same with the perfection of yoga, you know, like this takes you to a state of a level of consciousness where you actually can focus. You know, you're going on a bus, you know, you're focusing on going home, and then this guy comes and says, this is the, you know, where you can focus. Anyway, an interesting word, focus. So, yes, you know, just by seeing the faces, even though nobody would buy a book, and people would buy books, but sometimes you wouldn't sell a book for a few buses. You wouldn't, but just because the satisfaction was there by seeing their faces, that you had, you know, touched their hearts. So this is by the way, this is the secret of success for book distribution. That no matter what happens, just because you're stopping someone and you're touching their heart. Excuse me, sir, are you from this planet? Yes. Oh, we show these to all the lovely people in the area. Have a look. And, you know, they touch the book. And then you say, you look like a businessman, engineer, an actor. What do you do? I'm not an actor. Well, you know, that was the typical mantra in Los Angeles. There's a lot of actors there. So we would say, so you're an engineer, actor? What do you do? No, I'm just a clerk in a small guy in an office. So, oh, you look very professional anyway, whatever you do. Oh, thank you. So you touch their hearts. And they have the book in their hands, so like that. So this is the secret of success in book distribution, Sankirtan. So even though people wouldn't take a book, or, you know, they wouldn't give a donation, for the real simple fact that you made them smile and they would touch the book, you feel already some satisfaction. And, you know, you might have a bad day, but you still feel you've done your best, right? You've done your best. And that's exactly what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita as well. We shouldn't be attached to the result, how many books we've done, how much Lakshmi we've collected, and so on. But by not being attached to the result, and actually feel satisfied just by the fact that what we're doing, by what we're doing. We're satisfied by what we're doing. This is the message of Bhagavad Gita is we should work in a way that we're satisfied by what we're doing, not by the result, not by meditating on the result. This is sannyas. This is a real yogi. Sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. A real sannyasi is automatically a yogi. And sannyas means that sat, eternal, and tyaga, right? The eternity, and you give up the material world for eternity. So a real sannyasi is the one who is not attached to the result of his actions. This is what we all want to learn. Independently, if you, a man, a woman, a child, yellow dress, saffron dress, white dress, whatever you have, real sannyas means you work in a way and you're not attached to the result, according to Bhagavad Gita. So that's what we all strive for, to become sannyasis. Maybe not externally, but at least internally we should develop that basic instruction. It's a basic instruction in Bhagavad Gita. So in this lifetime we can develop or cultivate what a state of consciousness we're going to attain in our next life. And if you develop this state of consciousness of sannyas, non-attachment, then you're done quite well. Very well, actually. It means you can enter into the spiritual world. Maybe you're not in Krishna Loka yet, but at least you're entering the spiritual world. The Buddhists, they have this. They also have the same concept or the same goal of not being attached to the result of their actions. So the exercise they do, which is different from us, from devotional service. Devotional service, you offer it to Krishna and you don't take any credit for the result, which is, everything belongs to Krishna anyway. So why are you claiming any right on the result? Everything has been given to you. Even the effort you're making, it's only possible by Krishna's grace. So what are you claiming, a result of your actions for? But the impersonalists, who of course don't have the information about Krishna, so they have their own way of how to detach themselves from the result. So one exercise I know from my Bhakti Shastri teachers, he told me, is that they have like this big pile of bricks or something. And then so they take it from there and they put it on the other side and they build something. And then they, when they finish with building, then they dismantle it again and take it back to the other side, so they're not attached to what they've built. They're not attached like that. Or they paint these beautiful mandalas. Maybe you've seen, they paint these amazing mandalas. And then they huge, beautiful, just out of their minds. They meditate this emptying of the mind and just go by immediate inspiration, whatever the mind's, the mind, by their merit of their, meditation and practice, they make these mandalas. Maybe you've seen it. There's like amazing, huge, and that takes them I don't know how long, and then they burn it. They destroy it, right? So that's the way how impersonalists, of course, deal with this non-attachment. They try to, work in a way without being attached to the result. So they destroy the result. But that's not Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is take the result and give it to Krishna, right? So it's not lost. It's actually perfectly taken care of. So to get back to the point, we're asking ourselves why Shukadev Goswami is giving this explanation. That was actually the original point I should have been talking about. So, Shukadev Goswami, the greatest yogi, he's giving us this explanation so we can marvel at God's creation and understand who Krishna actually is. So it's easy for us to offer all our endeavors and all our results, whatever the result of our endeavors might be, to Krishna. So this whole description of the Bhagavatam, the whole Bhagavatam in itself, but especially here in the 5th canto, it's about the material energy. Shukadev Goswami is giving us a little drop. Srila Prabhupada once said, they came to Srila Prabhupada and they said, about this. They asked him about the universe like it's given here. The universe this and the universe that. And Srila Prabhupada says, Shukadev Goswami didn't want to bother to explain all the whole universe to us. It's so complicated. It's so vast. So many, he wouldn't have bothered. That wasn't the purpose of Shukadev Goswami. He was giving us a glimpse. This is giving us a glimpse of what the creation, the material creation is made of. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's just a spark of my splendor. A spark of my splendor. It's just like, you have this big fire and the fire has a few sparks coming out at the bottom. It's just a little part of the fire. And Krishna says, this is one spark of my splendor. So the material energy is just a reflection, actually. Prabhupada calls it a distortion of the original. That's why the nature that you can see, nature on this planet, is, can be very captivating, very, amazing. You look at it and it's like, wow, this is beautiful. But actually it's a distortion. Actually a devotee, he looks at it as distortion. He doesn't minimize it and say, this is just, a reflection, distortion. But he knows that actually the original maker of this is so much more beautiful. It's like, there's a description in the 3rd canto I was just reading by Maitreya Muni to Vidura. And Maitreya is citing, he says, let's talk about the Bhagavatam. And he starts just giving a description of Vishnu, Anantashesha and Vishnu, who are lying in the universe. And just giving a description, and he's just saying, the beauty of Vishnu, just like you see this mountain, Sumeru mountain, and all these mountains, they are amazingly made of corals, gold, and precious stones, and you just look at and he says that the beauty of Vishnu just like makes this mountain look insignificant. The beauty of Vishnu is so much more than the most amazing beauty within this universe. It's just, that's why Srila Prabhupada, of course, is always, emphasizing about nature. But if you look at the Bhagavatam, it really says that the nature within this planet is actually just a very distorted reflection of the original, which is the spiritual world. So Shukadev Goswami is giving us, basically I understand, he's giving those of us who are still attached to the material nature and to its beauty and splendor, he's actually giving us here a little taste of what actually this universe, what else is there and how amazing it is. And that's just a material energy. That's still a splendor of a spark of the splendor, right, of the of the spiritual world. What to say of the beauty of Vishnu? What to say of the beauty of Krishna? And that's the important point, last point I'm going to make here, that Srila Prabhupada used to repeat and repeat again, that we can't, our minds just can't grab here Shukadev Goswami is giving us a little taste, so we can, because we're still on a neophyte level, we can try to grasp a little bit of this, spark of a splendor of Krishna's beauty by hearing about the universe and how amazing it is. Like the description of, just the whole description how the Ganges comes from the upper planet, divides into four, drips down onto Jambudweep, and it's just, and how the rivers and how they're sometimes it's in some other parts it's like the fruit juice which becomes gold when it dries up on the riverside, and you just hear this amazing description, and that's just a spark of the splendor. But because we're still so attached to land and environment and all that, it gives us a little description where we can marvel, right? Start to marvel at the energy, even if it's the external energy of the Supreme. Marvel, and then when we marvel, our admiration, our appreciation, our love can advance. So when you understand actually more and more about the inconceivable energy of the Supreme, when you can marvel, then marvel. Of course, today Marvel is that all these movies about the Marvel movies, right? But it's interestingly enough, it's a brand of. For some reason, they chose that word marvel, right? Because it's something you marvel at, right? So we marvel at the creation of Shukadev Goswami describing the universe, and we can't grasp it. We come to the understanding at some point that we can't grasp it with our minds. It's just not possible. The mind is like so limited. We think our mind, is very powerful, and we can, figure out the universe, and then from there understand. The scientists, right? They think, okay, we with our minds we can grab the laws of material nature, and then from there we can understand God and figure out. But Srila Prabhupada is always saying that it's not possible. Our mind is too limited. We are too limited, especially by the four pramadas. I think that's the Sanskrit word. The four, one is we commit mistakes, we're in illusion, we have the propensity to cheat, and our senses are limited. Just by that's way enough that we can't even grasp, how much can we see with our eyes? It's a very small spectrum, within what actually is there. So we try to, Srila Prabhupada resumed it in this very nice, challenging question, that he would always come up with when talking with scientists. Why are you so proud of your eyes? Why are we so proud of our eyes? This is one of these sutras from Srila Prabhupada that you hear and hear again and again. And it's just so accurate. We're proud, we're puffed up, and we're extremely attached to our eyes. What we see, we think that truth can only be seen, and we're very proud of it. And that's just a big mistake. It's just a big illusion. We can't grasp almost nothing of, and it's like Srila Prabhupada gives this wonderful example. It's like children playing in a dark room. And the children, they love to play sometimes in a dark room, and they can't see anything. And there's so much stuff around, and they think themselves very, proud of playing in a dark room. And they think, by touching a few, we can't understand what's in the dark room, what to say outside of the dark room, and so on and so on. But it's just very ignorant. It's very ignorant to think like this. That by applying It's like a cockroach trying to understand what's going on in China. It's just, where you're going to start. It's just not possible. So the same way, Shukadev Goswami is giving us a little glimpse, so we can engage our minds to actually understand, marvel at the supremacy, the spark of splendor of the Supreme, and understand, unless the Supreme is actually giving us his mercy and making it understand in our heart, and helping us to expand the law of attraction and the affinity that we have for the Supreme. Unless he gives us our mercy, it's not possible. That's exactly what the pure devotees do. They give us we get the credit to actually see beyond what's beyond our mind, intelligence, and ego, and prepare our heart for a life outside of the material energy. So that's like, wow, the biggest yogi, they try to grasp, right? They try to grasp the Supreme by their meditation, by cleansing their hearts and trying to see Krishna within their heart. But actually, Krishna comes and gives us these pastimes, and the sages come, the pure devotees come, and they give us the credit that we can actually go further, much further than those yogis. Like it said in the song, we sing to Lord Damodar, right? Mother Yashoda, just by meditating on this Leela of Yashoda Damodar, right? We get so much credit, so much glimpse of little glimpse of what's going on way beyond our imagination, our mind and intelligence, right? And it's so much. Mother Yashoda was so much more. She was playing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an intimate child, trying to tie him, trying to teach him, chastise him, and teach him that, you're a little small boy, and Krishna is reciprocating, right? The milk is overboiling, and so on and so on. And just this, amazing pastimes. And automatically, we're so far beyond of a yogi trying for millions of lifetimes to purify his heart and, capture the Lord in the heart. They go on for thousands of lifetimes, Prabhupada says. And we just, by getting this information from the pure devotees and the sages, and, we can just, Mother Yashoda, she actually binds Krishna by her love, right? Which a yogi wouldn't be able to do. So I'll stop here. Any questions?
Thank you so much for the beautiful lecture.
Jai. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, you have to see me. Good night, bro.
प्रसादम का प्रसादम
9 minutes.
नो अच्छा
Time over.
कितना कभी
I go do my seva and take. Thank you, Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण